The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.
What's up, everybody? I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
And this is the Magic Mike Show, episode 523. Mr. Somich.
Fairgrounds huzzah.
I texted Mike yesterday. I said, just a fair warning, this is one of the 3 weekends when we are mandatory to go to Fairgrounds because that's pretty much all that's running this weekend, especially since Oakland Park canceled for the weekend, Turfway Park canceled for the weekend. Yeah, lots of cancellations this week. Not something we see that often. The weather's just horrible. Unless you're living in SoCal like us, then it's glorious.
Yeah, 60 and sunny, not bad. It's a little cold throughout the nation, and so we've had a lot of tracks cancel the last 2 weeks. And yeah, Oakland, obviously, they're not even allowing training the last couple of days. No races this weekend. Turfway already called it a day for the weekend as well, so it didn't leave us a ton of options. Santa Anita Gulfstream, not bad cards on Saturday, but Fairgrounds we'll go with the best card, and we get to cover one of the early preps where we have a recent claim that's running as well.
Yeah, we do. We'll talk about a little bit more when we get to the Lecomte Stakes, but excuse me, we did in the fantasy league, we picked up Ethan Energy, a nice debut winner at Fairgrounds going 2 turns. We dropped Rappaport, horse I was excited about. We drafted him, he worked once more, and then he disappeared. Like a bad Rappaport tweet, it just gone without trace.
MIA, man. MIA. And that's never a good sign with 3-year-olds when you're trying to get going in the Triple Crown. You don't want to fall off the work tab because that generally means you will not be running for quite some time, if ever again.
Yeah, well, there are also some other fantasy horses that are running this weekend. A couple of maidens debuting, so you can check out the Racing Dudes Fantasy League update over at RacingDudes.com. But we've got Fairgrounds Late Pick 5 for Saturday, January 20th on deck. It's an all-stakes sequence with 15% takeout, a guaranteed pool of $250,000, though. Mike, you're better at this than I am, but I think 250 is a low number. There's going to be much higher than this. There's nobody else running on Saturday, really.
I mean, it's honestly like one of the way down on the list. Like 90th complaint about horse racing would be that no one ever takes a shot, right? All these guaranteed pools, they're total BS. Because if you don't get 250 for this, you're like, wow, we failed as a racetrack, and that it would be bad. They're going to get $1 million for this, but they just throw 250 out there because they're too chicken to actually put a number out there they may not cover.
all the love for the Twin Spires team that we have, yeah, just
it's like Gulfstream, we're going to guarantee a $500,000 pool in our pick 6 and our jackpot pick 6. And it's like, that's awesome, guys. There's 450,000 carried over. You're going to get 50K bet into it. Don't you worry about it.
Well, I know we'll at least have our tickets in there. Maybe yours as well. If you're playing along, let us know what tickets you've got for it. But let's get into it, buddy. Riders up. Mike, here we go. First leg of the Fairgrounds Late Pick 5 on Saturday, January 20th. Race 9, the Marie Krantz Memorial Stakes for 9 older fillies and mares routing a mile and a 16th on the turf. Where'd you go on top, buddy?
Not going to get all that creative with the top pick. I'm going to go to the outside here, the 9-horse Trufani. Was really impressive in the local prep for this. Won by 2 lengths as the favorite that day. Took a nice step forward as well, entering that 4-year-old or the later in the 4-year-old campaign or 3-year-old campaign. Now we're getting the first race in the 4-year-old campaign. Last 2 races been over this racetrack. She looked awesome in both of those. Was able to come from way off it, and I do feel like there is enough pace in this race to chase that she should have a favorable trip, even though she's going to be coming from the back of the pack. Don't love the 9-2 price. I do like a couple other horses, or specifically one at a big number in here. So I'm going to end up 3 deep, but I think the outside Tufani is the horse to beat in this spot.
Yep, full agreement on the top pick here. Ben Curtis, I'll yes and you. Ben Curtis, the jockey, Irish jockey who came over to Fairgrounds, he was a top flat rider, or I'm sorry, a top synthetic rider because they don't really have dirt over there, but he came over here, and it's actually the turf where he's been excelling, connecting at almost 25% on turf at Fairgrounds since he got here in December. He's won 40% of his mounts with trainer Mike Stidham, who trains Tufani. So I like this horse. I think there's enough pace here that she will be able to use that closing kick, but if you look at her last 2 wins, they were each by at least 2 lengths. She was 10 lengths behind at first call and 8.5 lengths behind at first call, and both times That kick just, got her into high gear. And what I really like is that it happened at Fairgrounds because, like any Twin Spire zone track, the turf course is a little funky and a little weird and a little patchy. And so the fact that she's got 2 wins over this exact course makes me like her here as well. So we agree on the top pick. I have a feeling we're going to diverge from here, though. Where'd you go next?
Yes, I guarantee we diverge from here. Kind of like last year at the Fairgrounds turf course, everyone diverged when they got to the top of the stretch. The path. I mean, it was ridiculous. It was max 8 horses at one point, and like the outside rail was the best spot to be. So you'd see speed going 6 wide on the turn, so they could be in the outside path, and closers trying to come up the rail with no one in there. It's just ridiculous. Do better, Twin Spires. Do better. Give me the 2 horse. Trying my heart out. 20-1 morning line here as the second pick. I assume that you're not going here in second place, so this is where I assume we're going to diverge. This is an interesting horse. So they thought highly of this horse, and by they I mean the Jose Cameo barn, who was training this horse in the New York, kind of New Jersey area, to the point where after a N1X win at Belmont, they went right into the Grade 3 Lake George at Saratoga. That didn't turn out so well. Went back into a stakes race at Monmouth, ran a little bit better there, but not quite up to the level. Switches barns over the Shane Wilson barn, who is, I'm not going to say lesser known, because he put out almost 600 starters in 2023, ended up 16%. He's got 147 starters here at Fairgrounds, but not generally a household name inside horse racing, but someone who places horses fairly well. So the fact that we're placing this horse in this spot tells me he believes there's some talent here. If you go back and you look at the race 2 back over the turf at Fairgrounds, the horse did not break at all. Was 12th of 13, 11 lengths back at first call. Makes a nice middle move to get within 4 lengths, but was 3 wide on the first turn, 5 wide on the second turn. Never really had a shot to be all that competitive. They run the horse back at the same level, try and get her on turf at Fairgrounds, and the race gets rained off, and she absolutely freaks. Looked awesome in that race and ends up winning by 8 lengths. Absolutely going away, was 9-1 that day, so it wasn't all that expected that she was going to take to the slop and just dominate. This is a horse that was sold for $400,000, so clearly they thought there was some talent in the 2-year-old season. When this horse was sold in 2021, I think we're going to get a pretty good jump up here. And the fact that Shane Wilson's like, you know what, I'm going to go to Stakes Company as well after Cameo tried the Stakes Company twice, tells me that they think there's a lot of talent in this filly, and they're willing to take a shot. And at 20-1, I am willing to jump on board as well. This is also a horse that projects to get a really nice trip. There is, I'm not going to say tactical speed, but this horse is not completely devoid of speed either. I think that race 2 back was a little bit of an anomaly, was never that far back early on in any race. The furthest back prior to that was the Lake George, 6 furlongs off at first call. 6 lengths off at first call. I think we're going to see the 2 trying my heart out sit a significantly better trip and be able to get first run on some of those deep closers like Tufani. And at the price of 20-1 in a field that I am not in love with, I'm willing to take a little bit of a shot here.
I'll agree with you that I'm not in love with anyone outside of the 9 horse that we both put on top, but I couldn't get here with this horse. It's a 20-1 shot, and I'm taking my own 20-1 shot with the other one that we'll talk about in a little bit. But looking at this horse, it's like it almost like it freaked or got just the right setup to break the maiden was 23-1, and then the other time that this horse won on turf went gate to wire and was 42-1, and it's like I feel like she does just randomly pop a huge race, and maybe that was what we had happen last out, and she's going to go back down in form. So I couldn't touch her, but at 20-1, you're going to get every bit of that. Next up for me, the number 4, Anatolian, 8-1 here. Winner of 2 straight, 3 of her last 4. All of those were on dirt, but 3 of those 3 wins were all rained off the turf, so same situation that your pick was going with. This is a Mike Maker trainee, only 1 for 5 on turf, but has 2 close seconds as well, and has run competitively. It was at the Saratoga meet, at the Belmont Park meet, and I love seeing Luis Saez get the mount, and I think that's a big key as well. He's only 14% for Mike Maker, but anytime I see Saez on a horse that I think has a chance, I want to use it. Broke the maiden for 16K on the Gulfstream Park turf, and then went straight out of there into a synthetic race and ran really well. So she's got ability. Is this the field that she might be able to get her first stakes win in? Possibly, but it's also her first try against Stakes Company, which a few of these are facing. So you see horses like the 2, like the 3, like even the 4 that they're taking a shot because outside of the 9, who are you really scared of in here?
Yeah, there's not a ton in here. I looked at this horse as well. She's 5 for 13 lifetime. So you know that she likes to win races, which is obviously a positive when you're playing pick X wagers. I'm just a little worried that this is going to be a little too short for where she in her most competitive races. So yeah, she won a 7 furlong race at Gulfstream Park, 7.5 furlongs. That was maiden claiming 16,000. So like bottom of the barrel. So I'm not going to give her a full check mark there. And you go to her turf races at Belmont and Saratoga, where she was against pretty competitive fields. She just wasn't quite good enough against those type of fields. Now, you could make an argument like Ever Summer, Highland Grace. Those are some pretty good horses that she was running against those days. But I feel like that going longer is a little bit more of her thing, and that's generally a little bit more of Mike Maker's thing as well. She needs to improve off any of her races to be able to win this, and that's the other, to me, the big concern with Anatolian. But again, the 8-1 price, getting Maker and Saez in a longer turf race, not a terrible proposition there. I went to the rail. Lovely Princess was my third horse. This is the one that just kind of makes the most sense. It's a Kenny McPeak horse. Hernandez gets the mount. 3-1 on the morning line. Won here at Fairgrounds last time out as a 70-cent on the dollar favorite. I thought looked pretty good. Didn't get the best trip that day. Was still able to get up and get the job done. Returning today at mile and a 16th. I don't love this horse. Don't love a lot of horses in here, but there are, I don't know, 4 races you could point to that win this against this field if Tufani doesn't improve off her last. And so to me, the 1 and the 9 are really the most logical two. And then after that, it's like, who do you want to take a shot with? And for me, trying my heart out was the horse I wanted to take a shot with. But I looked at like Fancy Martini a little bit too. I looked at Sunatra a little bit too. So there are a couple others here where if you are really interested in going after it, I think you can look at some other horses in here if you want to play them.
What odds do you think Lovely Princess is going to be? Because she was 3-5 against several of these last out and won. Like, I know the 9's in here at 5-2. I looked at this and thought Lovely Princess was going to be the favorite by the time they break from the gate.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you. I mean, like, if you're looking at buyers or time form numbers, she's got on turf the 3 best numbers in the race, right? And so it's like, okay, it's hard to make an argument that if she doesn't run any of those 3 races, someone's going to need to step up and beat her. The problem is she just doesn't inspire confidence. Like, if you wanted to take a shot against her in this spot, I don't hate it. My strategy in this whole sequence is to kind of play logical horses, and in that same race, take one of the prices I like, because I like a price in almost every single one. But if you wanted to go like 239 or 2369 here, I'm not against that idea, especially if you think Lovely Princess is getting bet off the board.
So actually, one horse that does have better time form numbers than the 1 Lovely Princess is my next horse. The number 6 Fancy Martini got a 119 4 starts back. That's better than anything Lovely Princess has on time form. Fancy Martini, winner of 3 of her last 5 at a mile and a 16th, mile and an 8th, which means this mile and a 16th distance, perfect for her. She's been very popular at the 80K optional claiming ranks. 4 back when she popped that 119. Joe Sharp lost her for 80. She was moved right up into a stakes company there for Chris Hartman. Didn't run very well, was also 36-1, so wasn't expected to run that well, and then dropped back down to the same 80K optional claiming rank. She won. Joe Sharp took her off of Chris Hartman for $80,000, ran back at the same level. She won again, and Joe Sharp lost her again, and this time, oh shit, we're going to Diodoro. So Diodoro gets his hands on a horse that already has talent, and now he's going to run her first off the claim up into a stakes. And one other thing that's interesting here, Jimmy Graham, the jockey, in today's race, also rode when Sharp had her last out. Also rode when Hartman had her 2 back. So she's 2 for 2 with Jimmy Graham aboard with all of these with these recent claims. I know he rode her in the past as well, but I think this horse is perfectly informed. And now you're giving her to a trainer that the horses just seem to do a lot better for when he suddenly gets his hands on them. The one thing that's concerning here, and why I have her third and not second, 4 prior stakes tries. She's never been better than 6th, so we really need that Diodoro juice to be flowing extra strong to get her there. But if it is flowing, 3 in a row, all on turf for Fancy Martini.
Yeah, I looked at, like I said, Fancy Martini, my 4th pick in here. Another one that I considered using. It's a positive when horses get claimed a lot. It's also a little bit of a negative that, Sharp had her twice and didn't bring her up into stakes company, that he put her right back available for that same price, knowing that she could very likely get taken, right? So some trainers clearly thought that this is a horse that fits that N2X80 level, but does not fit in the stakes company. And you mentioned it, where she has not been able to break through with stakes company before. And that's kind of where I landed here. Is that she's a really good horse to use underneath. She's a really good horse to use at in your tries, in your supers, because I think she runs on and gets a slice. I couldn't get her on top here, and that was the big issue for me, is that against stakes company, I think she's just a cut below.
I think Ken Ramsey is so desperate for trainers, he's now fallen to the Diodoro ranks. I just realized that Ramsey owns this horse. So, hey, maybe Diodoro will win enough. Ramsey can pay off all those major debts he owes the good trainers. Last up for me, number 3, Sunatra at 20-1. Just because this horse projects to be lone speed, and all 3 wins in their last 7 starts were gate to wire. Got claimed out of a Gulfstream Park synthetic route win and was entered for turf in the barn debut, but it got rained off. She quit hard after a half mile. That's the only time she's ever tried dirt. So, all right, we learned for sure this horse, not a dirt horse. So, assuming this race stays on turf, the weather looks good. I think that in her 5-year-old debut, she's actually a bomb candidate here if she can get loose. That course, like Dr. Tang was asking, 4th place in speed favoring, it definitely can be on turf, but it is a Twin Spires turf course, so one day it's speed favoring, the other day it's rat infested. So yeah, but like I said, you were taking your 20-1 shot, I'm taking my 20-1 shot, and just hoping that this low percentage trainer who's 7% at Fairgrounds with Nieves aboard is 15%. Hoping that's what we can get the job done. But again, it was a bomb pick here, just looking for some value because, like you said, outside of the 9, you just start taking some shots.
Yeah, I don't hate it. Like I mentioned the 3 a couple times in earlier, diatribes around a price that you could play. I agree with you. Probably projects to be on the lead. I went with the 2 instead of the 3, simply because it feels like the 7 Unbridled Mary, who came out of a lot of sprint races at Los Alamitos and Lone Star Del Mar and Santa Anita, is probably going to show pace here. You got Cohen aboard for McPeak. I would assume Cohen's going to send. We'll see what happens here back on the turf after running your last race on the dirt. The other question is really the 8, Join the Dance. Rosario's up, so we'll assume won't send, but has enough speed to be able to be a problem for the 3. So we'll see how those 3 horses kind of shake up the early pace. Fancy Martini and Trying My Heart Out should sit beautiful trips right behind them, though. The 3 of them should be in the catbird seats from a just stalking perspective. And then it's the question of whether or not any are good enough. That's the other reason why I don't want to just go 1-9 here. If I was going to shorten it, I would single the 9. But if I don't want to just go 1-9 and have 2 closers who you have to hope you have the right pace set up to work it out.
Well, that's an interesting one. I saw someone earlier said that, I think it was Nick, said he can't play this sequence because of this race. Well, that's okay, because it starts off pick 5. Now we're going to move into the pick 4 section of this. Race 10 is the Silver Bullet Day Stakes for 8 3-year-old fillies going 1 mile and 70 yards because horse racing's stupid. Why not do 1 mile and 16th like the other race that we got on the card for 3-year-olds? Historically, this has been a productive Kentucky Oaks prep race, the Fairground Circuit, and this race in its entirety. Where did you go on top?
I went with the 6, West Omaha, another favorite in here, 2-1 on the morning line for Brad Cox. I thought ran fairly well last time out. Got a little Rosario'd in that race, and I think it's interesting that we're switching from Rosario to Saez, even though he will be at the track. He's actually going to be on the 1 horse. Perfect shot there for Steve Asmussen. So interesting that you're having that switch, especially since he's never ridden the 1. However, Rosario and Asmussen do have a little bit of a history together, so not totally shocking there. West Homa just feels like the best horse in here. And if you look back at that last race, it was only a 6-horse field, not a lot of pace to chase. Going to be a little bit different today. There is going to be pace for her to be able to close into. I think that's what she wants to do, is kind of sit in that 4th spot, 3rd spot, and be able to run down horses. I think she has the best chance of doing that. Alpine Princess, not in the field today. She would be the favorite if she were in this field. She beat West Omaha by 2 last time. The 8-horse, Sistina Chapel, coming in here for McPeak, ran 3rd in that race. But if you look at kind of the splits, the 6 was running away from the 8 that day. So I have the 6 West Omaha on top here, which I think is a pretty logical top pick.
It is logical, which is why I did it as well. I almost singled here. I thought West Omaha was a possible single. She was my pick to win the Untappable Stakes off of that nice 7-furlong maiden win at Churchill Downs. And Alpine Princess, it wasn't projected to be that way, but Alpine Princess got to absolutely walk the dog up front and just had too much left in the tank for West Omaha to catch her. She did reel her in. She was gaining on her by 1.5 lengths and separating from the 8 Sistina Chapel, who were both not using here. So I agree on using West Omaha. I think it's an upgrade from Rosario to Saez. Like, Rosario's going to ride the Asmussen horse. I saw the PR from Fairgrounds said that Asmussen's top rider, Joel Rosario, and I was like, what year is this? Because I don't know. If that's true, Asmussen's having a really rough time right now. But yeah, I'm going to go with West Omaha here on top for Brad Cox. I agree with everything she said as well. Speaking of the 1, I went too deep. I did use the 1 perfect shot. I think filly's steadily improving. She was 4th on debut, going 7 furlongs. The horse that won ended up winning last week's Busanda Stakes, so it might not have been that great of a field or a race, but she did come out of that to win a Kentucky Oaks prep race. And then Perfect Shot ran second, going a 1-turn mile on the slop, and then she tries 2 turns for the first time, gets the win. I think she gets a ground-saving stalking trip, and I'm hoping that if she's going to win, it's because she gets the jump on the 6 and the 8 here. So I'm going to use the 1 Perfect Shot, but I know you passed on her.
I did. I didn't want to use the 2 horses who I think are going to go off as the favorites. There's a couple prices in here I like. And I'm just not sure how good she is. Like, yeah, it was a nice sales price for Gunrider. Looked pretty good last time out. I just for the setup I think she wants, I fear that you're going to get a Rosario right here. It's a part of it as well. Like, the rail is not his friend, and you're going to have this situation where he's going to have to work out a trip in 4th or 5th, use tactical speed, and then be able to go. And that's asking a lot from Rosario on your second favorite here, where I think we both agree the favorite is the right favorite. I guess third favorite, but I don't think Christina Chappell's going to actually get bet. I think the Perfect Shot's going to get bet, and it's going to be clear second choice in this. So I didn't want to use the first and second choice, especially when I don't like the second choice that much. I think you're going to need a nice improvement, and I'm not sure it's the right spot to be able to do it. I am going to go right to the outside of Perfect Shot. Give me Accommodate Ava as my second pick in this spot here. Really interesting start to her career, and you got to rewind back to Saratoga, restricted, maiden special weight. Horse goes off as the favorite, gets bet off the board. Okay. Churchill, restricted, maiden special weight. Horse gets bet off the board as the favorite again. So clearly there's a lot of people who think this horse has some talent. Keeneland, restricted, maiden special weight. We add blinkers. The horse wins at 5-1. So that was the day. There's the wedding, right? After 2 funerals in a row. Goes to Santa Anita in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile fillies, which is what? Okay, we clearly think this horse has a ton of talent. If that's our choice, if we're going to make that kind of jump from a 7-furlong maiden special weight at Keeneland all the way to the Breeders' Cup, guess what? Didn't go well. Shocker. Goes back to Fairgrounds. Raylu rides, and then Brian Hernandez Jr. rides at Fairgrounds in back-to-back stakes races that are both state-bred. Wins the last 2, wins the last one, but last 2 races come from way off it with less than desirable posts, going 1 turn, stretching back out to 2 turns today. Clearly they think something of this horse based on the way that it's A, been bet, B, who the jockeys have gotten, and C, where they have decided to place Accommodate Ava. I'm going to read the tea leaves here and say that this horse is live going 2 turns, but won't get bet because of the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies race, which I think is kind of not fair considering who else was running in this one. So I think Accommodate Ava has a big chance to come rolling late at a really nice price here. Love the fact that Brian Hernandez Jr. stays aboard. We're stretching this one back out. So I'll take the 2 as my second horse at 12-1.
I couldn't get here. I tried on this horse specifically because it's Dallas Stewart, Brian Hernandez with a long shot, and the 2 of them together, 22 mounts in the last year, 23% winners. So they are doing well together, Hernandez and Dallas Stewart. Dallas Stewart, if you aren't familiar with him, he thinks that every horse he has in the barn is a multiple stakes winner, a Derby horse, an Oaks horse. Like, he has very high ideals with a lot of his horses. Now, that's why I think you saw this horse go from a 7-furlong restricted maiden race straight into the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, and just shouldn't have been there. But Dallas was like, yeah, we got a good one here. I appreciate these taking a shot, but she's by Munnings. Super sprinty. I think this horse, the biggest impact that she's going to have is that because she's coming out of sprints and she broke that maiden going 7 furlongs on the lead, and even the race prior to that was 1 length off at the first point of call. I think that she factors into the speed because she is breaking from the 2 post here, but I really don't see her sustaining that. Especially, remember, Fairgrounds has one of the longest stretches in North America, and so that's a very, they come off the turn, and you're like, okay, they're coming to the wire. No, wait, that was the quarter pole. All right, that was the 360 move. It takes forever to get there. I just don't see her being able to do it. I just see her sucking wind at 2 turns here.
Yeah, the first race at Fairgrounds is much like the first race at Kentucky Downs, because they switch camera angles 4 times in the stretch. The third one is when you've won the race, and nope, one more camera. We still got a little bit to go here. I don't disagree with you. I am. It's funny you say that about Dallas Stewart, because he's still 11% in stakes races with a $1.46 ROI, which is not bad when you think about it as how aggressively he places horses in those races. So I agree with you in a sense that Dallas Stewart has a tendency to go Doug O'Neill on it and overplace horses. But I'm going to trust that this one deserves to be in Stakes Company and came off a stakes win last time out, which, there are worse things to do. Now, again, yes, it was 1 turn. not 2 turns. And I agree with you. The Munnings aspect scares me a little bit. I am between 2 horses for my third horse in here. And so I'd like your opinion on which way I should go. And that is the 3, Miss Code West, who's coming in from Remington Park with my boy, Floyd Wethy Jr., taking the mount here. 4-for-4 horse. She has shown the ability to go gate to wire and shown the ability to stalk. And the 4 horse, Play Good, Pay Good. First off, the claim for Dub and Atris, claimed for $50,000 off Ravelli. And it's a congrats horse, stands for $7,500, that's sold for $250,000. Now, the 4 is also cross-entered, so we may not have to make this decision on race day. But what are your thoughts on the 3 and the 4 here? Because I thought both of them were a little interesting. You're muted.
I think you made the correct decision with who to take. Sorry, I was pulling up my one of my best bets is about to go off of Sunland. No, I think the 3 is the way to go. 3 is an undefeated Oklahoma bred, but I mean she's undefeated and she's looked good in every start.
All right, I'll stick with the 3 then, Miss Code West here. You mentioned it. She's undefeated 4-for-4, took on state-bred competition in her first 3 races, graduated up to open competition, and that was honestly her best race by far. Question is, can she stalk? Because I don't know if she's fast enough to get the lead. And that's my biggest concern. But I don't think this is a group of world beaters. Like, if West Omaha is, let's say, a good horse, not a great horse, then there's no one in here who is a great horse. It's a bunch of horses that kind of fit the stakes company. We'll see what happens as they progress. And so willing to take a shot here a little bit. So I will go 2, 3, 6 in this spot.
The 3 to her credit, I mean, it was against Oklahoma bred, so you're not sure how good the competition was, but her first start and then the stakes win 2 back, both times she had to pass horses and from several lengths off. So she does have that ability to go after horses and pass them and still win. It's just a question of can she translate that effort to open company, because her open company win last out was gate to wire in the Trapeze Stakes. So yeah, I don't hate you for that one.
Quick question for you.
Yeah.
How many horses do you think Rob Atris has claimed at Fairgrounds? Or have Michael Dubb claimed at Fairgrounds?
5?
I mean, the number's not very big, right?
Yeah.
And
I thought maybe you had the number. I got excited.
No. I thought it might be like 2. I don't. It's less than this many. It's less than on one hand, right? And the fact that this horse ran at Backwaduck before this and was being trained by Dutrow and then goes to Fairgrounds and gets claimed for 50 at Fairgrounds for Dub and Atris, it just feels like someone thought there was something about this horse that you had to get a piece of this horse. It's just a really interesting claim, and then the horse shows up here. I mean, I wouldn't completely discount the 4 just based off of that.
All right, we'll move on. The third leg of the late pick 5 at Fairgrounds on Saturday, January 20th. Race 11, the Colonel Bradley Stakes. We've got a field of 9 older males routing a mile and a 16th. On the turf, where'd you go on top, bud?
One with the aptly named horse, Who Took the Money, the number 6 here for Brett Calhoun. Brett Calhoun. And Parker is going to get the ride. Interesting, I've never seen this in my life. If you look at the past performances for Who Took the Money, the last 4 races, the winner was a next out winner. The race before that, Who Took the Money won. The race before that, the horse was a next out winner. And the 3 races prior to that, Who Took the Money won. So in the last 9 races, either this horse has won or been beat by a next out winner. You're not as impressed by that as I am, are you?
I might know this information.
Oh.
Already.
Well, look, that to me, that kind of makes you forgive a couple of the second place finishes that we have during that streak, because during those races, Who Took the Money has won 4 times and ran second 3 times. Well, all 3 of those times, guess what? Against the next out winner. So against a pretty good horse that ran well. The horse seems to be coming into the best form of his life. He's got a couple races back in 2022, which were pretty solid. But the last couple races, specifically in the end of 22, early 23, and then here end of 23, all been very good. This horse loves this Fairgrounds turf. 5 races, 3 seconds, 2/3. The distance, 4 races, 2 seconds, 1/3. To me, this is just a horse for course who is in very, very good form. And again, doesn't face any world beaters in here. Beatbox is going to be your favorite from the outside post. Cherie DeVoe, we know we love her. Joel Rosario, we know we're not big fans of him. But it feels like this is the right spot to take a little bit of a shot here and take the 8-1 here on Who Took the Money.
I didn't put this horse on top, but absolutely used Who Took the Money. And for all the reasons that you mentioned, Louisiana bred with 3 wins in 2 seconds and 5 tries over this turf course. I don't care who you're beating. You like this horse for course, like you mentioned. So I have that one ranked third. I went 4 deep here, but I didn't go as crazy for prices like I did in the first leg. My top pick right there, Shotty called it. Number 9, Beatbox, 5-2. 3 back, this horse returned from 6 months off, ran an impressive third in a Keeneland allowance, just missed the win by a half length. 2 back, tracked a gate to wire winner every step, still held on to second, but it was a gate to wire winner. You weren't going to be able to chase down 2 Emmys. Rising Empire. Looked at the wrong race. Last out, closed from 10th to finish second, beaten 1 length. That was the gate to wire winner, 2 Emmys. And if 2 Emmys was here, 2 Emmys would be their prohibitive favorite, probably 4-5. Unfortunately, 2 Emmys tragically broke down during a recent workout. So a horse that I loved last year at the fairgrounds when we were playing the fairgrounds circuit. So very sad to lose him there. But the fact that this horse was right there with 2 Emmys, to me, says that the 9 Beatbox, I think, is going to really have a good day. Boy, Rosario for Shreveville. Hope this is, don't send the horse, Rosario. That's my one request. Just do not send the horse stupidly, because he likes to come from off of it.
Yeah, horse is 0 for 2 with Rosario up. That's not great, but
second by a length, third by a half length. I think that's okay.
I'm heavy on the slander right now for Rosario. I use Beatbox as my second horse as well. This one makes a ton of sense. It should have enough pace to chase here. Rosario picks up the mount. Rid this horse twice. Both of those were fairly good races. You mentioned the loss of 2 Emmys last time out. 2 Emmys would be a pretty heavy favorite. Did lose to Rising Empire 2 back, but Rising Empire walked on the lead that day, so they never really had a chance to be able to run it down. So I'm going to go with the 9 as well. Then I'm using the 1 horse here, Protonic Power. Armando Hernandez sends this one out. He's 20% at Fairgrounds, 28% overall for the year with just 130 starters. Pedroza picks up the mount for the 4th straight time. Don't sell that last race too short. Was 42-1 that day. Had legitimate traffic trouble at the top of the stretch, was still able to rally up and only end up 2 lengths off 2 Emmys that day, just a length, essentially a length and a half off of Beatbox. I think with a better trip would have been a much bigger factor at a monster price there, 42-1. I think we're going to get a little bit of a float on this one too. I don't think we're going to end up at 8-1. I think we're going to look more at the 10 to 12-1 range. I think Strong Quality is going to be bet off the board. The 2, not really interested in using Strong Quality just because of all the pace and the fact that he kind of backs up sometimes. So I'm gonna go with the 1, the 6, and the 9 here to try and get through.
Boy, I looked at the 1, and at one point I had the 1 on my ticket, and I couldn't do it. The horse is 1 for 9 on turf and runs better on the dirt. And it is in the mix in a lot of those turf races, and I fully agree with you. That race that I was pointing to last out for Beatbox, where 2 Emmys went gate to wire, Protonic Power was in this very similar position, and it just had much worse traffic to run into than Beatbox. But I think this is a great horse to use underneath. I just couldn't pull the trigger on this horse in this race, but I understand why you'd use it.
I would be careful because I do think this horse is getting better. That's the one. I agree with you. The turf races have not been phenomenal, but the turf races, a lot of them were earlier in 2023. And this horse, all 5 of the turf races. This horse run 25 times. All 5 of the turf races come in the last 10 races. So we didn't really have a turf look before that.
He had 4 turf starts before that.
I'm just looking at 5. Oh, I didn't see the 9. Okay, never mind then. I was just looking at the 9 or the 5 at the distance versus the full breadth.
I got you. Yeah. But you're right. He has been in the mix. I just couldn't pull the trigger on this horse winning, but I think is a definite horse to use in the exotics, because if you believe that he had a much better effort than the trip shows or what the result shows, he really hasn't been outside of the money all year long. So he's got that going for him, or at least since he's been gelded. So that's, I'm a big proponent of gelding a horse can really make a move up, and it seems to have helped. And the last 2 turf efforts got a 1:17 time for him, both of those. So yeah, I understand. Like I said, I almost had this horse on and just couldn't, as far as a win bet, go for it.
So who else did you use?
Number 2, Strong Quality will go next for me, 3-1. So I'm using the top 2 horses here price-wise, but I think this is going to be your early leader. And assuming Florent Giroux does what he's supposed to do, which, how often does that happen? But he's ridden this horse the last 3 starts and 5 of the last 6. Each time the horse was first, definitely first at the first point of call. So that's good. The horses had trouble finishing. You got to go all the way back to Keeneland, the race 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 back when he went gate to wire. But it was a Keeneland allowance in the spring, so a very strong group of horses. Lots of stakes horses were there. He got the job done there. One start before that, a Gulfstream Park Championship meet allowance race. Got that win as well. Out of those 2 races, Mark Cassidy was like, hey, this is a good horse. Let's go try the Grade 1 Manhattan. Oops, that didn't work. Up to the Mark is really damn good. All right, well, let's go to the Grade 1 Arlington Million. Okay, we're not a Grade 1 horse. That's not where we're at. Tried the $500,000 stakes at Kentucky Downs, going gate to wire over that crazy-ass track. Sometimes it happens, but not that often. Last 2 races were on dirt. 2 back was a rained-off turf effort at $141,000 purse, and the horse won by over 9 lengths. So I understand why they tried dirt one more time in the stakes race at Oaklawn Park. Finished third. Some decent horses finished ahead of him, but we're back on turf here, and I think that's going to be the big help. And again, because this horse I project to be your early leader, and maybe the 3 presses him a little bit, I think the 2 is awfully dangerous as long as he gets that early lead. And Flo's shown multiple times he'll do that with this horse.
You left out the one thing I thought you'd mention. Lasix matters for this horse. If you take out the races without Lasix, the record looks a lot better because it knocks out.
Son of a bitch, you're right. I didn't even notice that.
It knocks out the Grade 1 Million. It knocks out the Tapit. It knocks out the Manhattan. It knocks out the $200,000 Tinsel where he quit. And all of a sudden you're left with 3 straight wins. 2 of them going gate to wire.
Lasix works.
Yeah.
Lasix is the problem. Yeah. Sure.
They matter for strong quality. I didn't use strong quality because of what I think the price is going to be and the fact that I do think there's enough pace to press here. I think there's a couple horses that feel like they have to get the lead, the 3 Brigador General being one of them, that I'm hoping the strong quality takes some pressure. And if that's the case, then that I think makes it a lot harder for strong quality to win the race. But I wouldn't be shocked if strong quality ends up your winner here. I chose to go against just because of what I think the price will be.
You did use Brigadier General, right? Another Dallas Stewart, Brian Hernandez Jr. special. First time turf, they tried it a couple races back, and it got rained off in one gate to wire at Keeneland. But I looked back through this horse's pedigree, and yes, is out of a Giants Causeway mare. The mare and all the siblings, terrible on turf. They're not really that great anyways, but definitely were dirt leaning. So I left it off of that, but again, Dallas Stewart at a price with Brian Hernandez Jr. It's crazier things have happened.
They have, like me using this horse because I did not use it in the Big 5 here. I ended up 169 here. So
sorry, I looked at the wrong race. I'm so sorry.
And beatbox, I did use Brigadier General 2 back, which was kind of fun at Keeneland. But I agree. I think there's a dirt horse. So this is one where, like, if it rains off for some reason, which by the way, it rained today at Fairgrounds, it's not completely out of the realm of possibility. Brigadier General gets a big upgrade.
All right, last fun for me, number 5, English Tavern, and I was back and forth between the 1 and the 5, so if the 1 ends up winning, I'm going to curse out English Tavern for the rest of his running days. This horse ran...
5 too.
Okay, so we'll talk about it a little bit. English Tavern ran in place start to finish last out behind 2 Emmys and Beatbox and a bunch of other horses that were in there. Won at this distance 3 races back versus Churchill Down allowance runners and consistently runs a competitive race like the 1. Michelle Lovell's known for springing an upset or 2 on big days at fairgrounds, especially on the turf course. So that's where I went here, but you're getting a little better price on the 1 versus what the 5 is. The 5 has won on turf within the last year, so I'm gonna go with the 5 English Tavern on top, or for not on top of the 1 as my last pick here.
Yeah, I was able to get the job done 3 back at Churchill Downs. The last race was too damning for me. That's why I went with the 1 over the 5. Everything went right for the 5 to beat B-Box and did not win. And everything went wrong for the 1 and still I thought ran a really good race. And so, yeah, the 5 could totally win this race, but I felt like the 1 had a better chance to flip the script on the 9.
Funny story about Michelle Lovell, the trainer, and Jamie Torres, the jockey. My first best bet of the day over at racingnews.com, it was a fairgrounds race 4, horse number 3, and they almost stole that race gate to wire. Lovell and Torres did. They actually crossed the wire first, but because the horse, as soon as Torres started left-handing it, the horse went about 5 paths out and altered the course of my 3, which was probably not going to finish first regardless. Got the DQ. So for the first time, I think ever, a disqualification helped me get a win. But if you watched that replay or if you watched that race, because it was one of my best bets, it was the best bet for dudes who bet daily, that horse had no business winning. So that was another thing. I was like, all right, well, Torres and Lovell, they can horses, with the price, hopefully they can get something home. 6-1, not a great price compared to 31-1 last out, but I'm hoping for it. I'm hoping for something here.
I was with Doc. I thought we were going to get a little bit of horse racing after dark here from that story, and you disappointed me.
Oh, sorry. No, I don't know anything about Michelle Love and James. I mean, I do have some jockey trainer stories, but you got to go to the Magic Mike OnlyFans for that kind of content. The penultimate leg, I almost didn't say it, Mike. The penultimate leg of the Late Pick 5 at Fairgrounds on Saturday, January 20th, race 12, the Louisiana Stakes, presented by Ray Lou Gutierrez, I think that is. A grade 3 race, 7 older horses, mile and a 16th on the dirt. This is... Whoa! This was my least favorite race of the whole sequence. I think it's just a mess. I mean, your defending champion is back. It's Happy American. He's 0 for 8 since then. We've got Confidence Game from last year's Derby Trail, Saudi Crown from last year's Summer Stakes, Red Route 1 from last year's Derby Trail, Smile Happy from the Derby Trail 2 years ago. Where'd you go on top?
I hate this race so much. The Confidence Game is going to win it. That's how it feels. I feel like you have to choose between 2 Smile Happy and the 3 Saudi Crown. I think that's the first thing. You can't play both. So you got to pick A or B. I'm going to go with A and play the 2 Smile Happy here for McPeak and Hernandez over the 3 Saudi Crown for Cox and Giroux. I respect what Saudi Crown's been able to do. I want to see Saudi Crown do it going a mile and 16th over a fast dirt course, because that to me is still a question mark. Both of the Jim Dandy and the Pennsylvania Derby, both a mile and an eighth over the slop. Both what I thought were favorable trips for Saudi Crown. Was able to win one, the Parks race at Pennsylvania Derby, but really was sucking wind. Dream Lake was coming in that race. So I'm going to try and take his play against Saudi Crown here. And you go back to Smile Happy. This horse has run phenomenally off the bench here. So breaks the maiden first time out at Keeneland, gets an 82 buyer. Comes back at Fairgrounds for the Risen Star first off the layoff. Runs second to Epicenter. Ever heard of him? Oaklawn Park, first off the layoff. Runs in a $50,000 allowance. Gets 101 buyer. Wins it rather easily. Now we're coming first off the layoff here. First time out as a 5-year-old. The trip is right. The horse has tactical speed. I don't think Saudi Crown's going to get that far away from him, and I do think Saudi Crown is going to face a boatload of pressure here. 5-Star General will want to go. Confidence Game has some early pace. Capuna wants to go. So 3 or 4 horses here early are going to be up vying for the lead. Smile Happy should be able to sit right behind him and get first run. So I put the 2 Smile Happy on top.
I agreed with you. You got to decide between the 2 and the 3. When I realized that the 2 was a McPeak, it was going to be a bet heavily. I was like, I'm not going to touch it. I will let Smile Happy beat me just about every single time. The only time I've ever picked him to win was actually the Grade 1 Bluegrass Stakes, and I thought that he put in a good effort, but Zandon caught him and beat him. He pops up and he wins, right? He won the Grade 2 Ali Sheba. He had that Oaklawn Park allowance win that you talked about first off of a layoff. Couldn't pull the trigger on this horse. He drives me insane. I'm going to let him continue to beat me each time. So I did pass on him. I did put 5-Star General on top here, and this is a horse that won the Tenacious Stakes last time out over the same course and distance. 6 of the 7 starts that he had in 2023 were very consistent, strong efforts. 3 wins, 2 seconds, and a third. The only time he faltered was the Grade 2 Lucas Classic, and that was much tougher horses, I think, than what he's facing, depending on what Saudi Crown does this year, but you and I both have some question marks about him. He didn't lead at first call in 2 of his 3 wins last year, and so that tells me he can let Saudi Crown go, and if someone else wants to go, he has the ability to back off a little bit, stalk just behind them, and as soon as Saudi Crown or someone else starts getting leg weary, I think he's going to have the ability to get done. The fact that he won over this course and distance last out and was able to keep extending and keep running in that long stretch also gave me some confidence with the 5-Star General. 5-Star General. Why did he have to draw that post? That's terrible.
It makes the world a little rougher. You think that Clapton and Trademark are better than this group?
Yeah, absolutely. Depending on what Saudi Crown turns into this year, yes.
We have very different opinions on Smile Happy. Not that I think Smile Happy is like a world beater. I would.
Trademark won the Grade 2 Clark Stakes in his last effort, right? And he beat First Mission by a nose, and First Mission is going to be either first or second choice in the Pegasus World Cup. So yes, I do think that Trademark is better than these horses.
Yeah, we'll see. We shall see how that plays out. I would take Smile Happy over Trademark, but we'll see what happens. And Saudi Crown also could be. I'm not using Saudi Crown. Saudi Crown could be a very good older horse this year. Like that could end up being a monster. I'm going to go 2 deep here. I mentioned all the pace. Give me the 1, Red Route 1. And this is surely will the race collapse? If yes, check the box for Red Route 1. That's what's going to need to happen here. You mentioned the long stretch. That benefits a horse like Red Route 1 who wants to close from way back and needs all of the ground that he can get to possibly get up. It feels like a scenario where you've got Saudi Crown, you've got 5-Star General, you've got Capuna. They go out, they start to press each other. Smile Happy takes the lead to the top of this early stretch away from the 3 of them, and then Red Route 1 is just trucking. And we'll see if he can get there. We'll see if Smile Happy gets essentially weakened because of what I think the early fractions are going to be. I looked at Happy American 2 to fill this void because it was, to me, between the 1 and the 4 is the other horse I was going to use. And I went with Red Route 1 because Happy American has sucked since he ran here well. You want to say, oh, that's the horse for the course. He didn't look great last time over this course. And so it made me just kind of get off the Happy American train, ended up with the 1 Red Route 1. But I do like the 2 Smile Happy the most in this spot.
So Red Route 1 is, if I went 3 deep, this is the horse I would use for all the things that you mentioned. The difference between him and Happy American is that Red Route 1, when he's trailing early, he's still going to close. Happy American, when he's trailing early, he's just going to be in their end all night, and it's never going to really get out of their end either. So he just loves to park it right behind the rear end there and stay in that spot. Hey, I can't blame him for it. Some people are like that. The other horse I did use, after kind of poo-pooing a bit, I went with the number 3 Saudi Crown because this horse is fast, very fast early. He's making his 4-year-old debut, so you would hope that this horse can take a step forward. He's going to need to. They're also here instead of the Pegasus, which is a little interesting, but they're prepping for the Saudi Cup because the owner is Saudi. He wants this horse to come over there and compete for that race. I don't usually like Saudi Crown in spots like this where he's going 2 turns, he's going longer than 8 furlongs. Because if you remember, and I remember him very well last year, the Dwyer had every chance to win. Let Fort Bragg go. Fort Bragg's a good horse. Let Fort Bragg go by. The Jim Dandy race had every chance to win. Forte got by him, and it really should not have been able to let Forte get by him. Irad hijinks aside, I still think that he was one that you got to watch out for. The Pennsylvania Derby, he got the win barely. You mentioned Dreamlike was closing in on him there. If he gets left alone, I think Saudi Crown can be able to get there, but at that price, it's almost as nervous playing him as I am at Smile Happy at 9-5.
Yeah, I just feel like I don't have any clue what I'm gonna get from Saudi Crown. Like, and to me, it's like, okay, either I'm in a single and trust that this horse is a monster, or I'm not going to touch him. And to me, it was the not going to touch him route. I kind of think it's a negative that they're not going to Pegasus and then going on, because what is it, a week apart? Really? Like that's your big, that's you need that extra week to be able to go running in the Saudi Cup.
Well, remember that Brad Cox trains both of them, and as I already said, First Mission is going to be your favorite or second choice. And Cox thinks that he's got a potential horse of the year in First Mission. Yeah,
well, go for the money, not the $125,000 stakes here. We'll see what happens.
It's prepping for the $20 million Saudi Cup. They are going for the money. He just needs to get a start in first.
Go for all the money. Don't go for half the money. I guess the Pegasus really isn't what it used to be either. It's not 12 million anymore. It's not as fun as it used to be. So not as lucrative as a spot. We'll see what happens. I still think it's a negative that you end up here at Fairgrounds running for $175K versus finding a spot that's a little more prestigious. But hey, it is a grade 3, so you got to give him some credit here. You get to face Red Route 1 and all of his friends. Anyway, yeah, give me the 1 or 2 here. Let's hope the Smile Happy get it done, or this thing collapses and Red Route 1 closes like crazy.
This was the one race where we were completely different with the horses we use, and like Mike said, you could very well see Confidence Game come in here with for Keith DeSormo, Corey Landry. It'd be frustrating, but you'd be like, yeah, okay, I could see it. A lot of these horses were shit.
I mean, Capuna and Calhoun have won races for me before, so see what happens there too with the 7.
With Raylu aboard, yeah, neither of us have used a Raylu horse yet. We'll see if that's going to change. It's not, because he doesn't have a mount in the 5th and final leg. That's too bad. Someone's going to regret that. Race 13, the Grade 3 Lecomte Stakes. We've got 8 3-year-olds, all colts, entered to go a mile and a 16th on the dirt. Now, coming into... Yeah, well, I guess yesterday I thought, Awesome Road for sure is going to scratch because Turfway Park has the Leonidas Stakes. Brad Cox has 2 other horses entered in here, and his main jockey from Turfway was named here. But his Concepcion was also named on Awesome Road at Turfway along with 6 other horses, and this was his one mount. And then Turfway canceled everything, and I went, well, maybe he's going to run here anyway. I kind of hope he does because it'll be a little bit of extra takeout because I almost singled in this spot as well. Where'd you go on top?
Well, that's funny because I used Awesome Road. I'm surprised by this. This is actually not being like ridiculously biased. I put Ethan Energy on top. I thought he has the best price or best shot here, especially at a price. He got 4-1. And like you go back and you watch that Fairgrounds race where this horse broke the maiden, and you're like, "Yep, this is a runner. Like this horse is pretty darn good." It's an Uncle Mo out of a Harlan's Holiday mare, Stone Street Stables, homebred. They decided not to sell this one to keep it. Giroux rides that day. You're getting Saez today. Like I get that Giroux chose Nash over Ethan Energy. I'd rather have Saez riding for me anyway, so I'm excited about that choice. Good job, buddy. Way to go, Florent. So I think the Ethan Energy sits a nice trip here. There's quite a bit of speed, which you expect to see in these races. Ethan Energy doesn't need to be on the lead. Was sitting in nice 5th place at the half mile last time out. Was able to close and get the job done. I thought they actually closed that race pretty well. This horse won handily, absolutely drew off, winning by 5. Yeah, it's a step up, but it's second off the layoff. Second out as a 3-year-old. There's logical reasons why this horse takes a step forward. And when you compare it to everyone else's numbers, we're really not that far off. I mean, the one Nash Freak is head and shoulders above what everyone has in here. But the last race from Nash really left me a lot to think about. Wasn't that impressed. Just kind of chased and couldn't get it done. We'll see what happens this time. But, yeah, for me, 5 Ethan Energy on top.
A couple other things to mention because I used as well. Last time when he broke the maiden, first time rounding, it was first time without blinkers, and I thought for a horse that was just making a second career start and you make a change like that, taking the blinkers off, it can get kind of squirrely, and he seemed to respond very, very well to that. And if you look at that debut race going 6.5 furlongs at Keeneland, that's been a pretty productive race to have been in so far. The winner subsequently 2nd and 3rd in a pair of stakes. Second place dominated Maiden's Next Out in his next start. Third place was 3rd and 2nd in the next 2 starts. The second place came behind Imperial Gun, who was a very nice recent winner for Steve Asmussen. And 5th place subsequently won 2 straight, including a stakes race, and looks like is going to be a big player for Cherie DeVaux. So I'm with you. If someone's going to take down, the favorite, Track Phantom, it's not going to be Nash that I want to take. It's the Cox horse with the better price, the better jockey, that is a half-brother to a multiple grade 6 winner named Royal Charlotte. And as I told you, trying to convince you why we needed to pick up this horse, which I don't think really... I put on a full court press to convince Mike to claim this horse, and he was like, okay. You were on board pretty easily. Stone Street has been touting this horse since June. They first posted about this horse at June, that they were in June. They were so excited about his chances once he hit the track and everything. So yeah, I love Ethan Energy. I also did use Track Phantom, and this is where Rosario is going to be back aboard. If you're Christian Torres, do you really regret the decision to have passed on coming to Fairgrounds and stay at Oaklawn Park? Because you're now freezing your ass off in Hot Springs. You've got no chance of making money for the next 4 or 5 days. And you might see the horse that you rode to win the Gun Runner win the Lecomte Stakes and go, shit, maybe you fire your agent, something like that. But for me, Track Phantom, 4 starts, each one seems to have improved upon the last while being solid in of itself. And I guess I want to ask you, what trip do you think happens? Because projections say Nash and Track Phantom will go to the lead, but it's Florent Giroux and Joel Rosario riding. Which horse ends up going to the lead? How does that shake out? This is a weird situation.
Yeah, and if you look at some projections, the one horse, Next Level, is actually supposed to be the speed in this spot too. So it will be interesting to see who decides to go and what type of pace we have. I think it's Nash. I think at this point, if you're Brad Cox, you just go to Florent. Hey, buddy, we're 0 for 2 and we haven't made the lead. We're 1-0 when we made it. So it's one of those situations where you're like, I want Nash to go to the lead if you're a Nash backer. I think the fact that Cox has 3 horses in here, 2 of which don't need the lead, one of them wants to be forwardly placed, also tips the hand for Nash to go forward. So we'll see what happens here. But I would expect Nash is going to be your leader, especially since he drew the 2 post.
Well, I mean, he drew inside of Track Phantom last time, and Track Phantom still, beat him to the punch. And it's a thing where you get super frustrated with a jockey like Flo because the horse went gate to wire for Flo and just absolutely freaked. And then the next start, he doesn't he doesn't break like a rocket, but he didn't break poorly. And Flo just was like looking around, letting everybody go by. And I'm like, what? Why are we experimenting? What are you doing? You've got a 2-5 favorite who's supposed to be this, potential Kentucky Derby winner, and you're just dicking around on him like that. And then you let Snead beat you. And I mean, Snead's okay, but I mean, his name is Snead. How good is he really?
Yeah, and it does look like next level is scratched, as is Awesome Road. So the one in the 8.
Oh, okay. I did see. I texted Shotty and she didn't get back to me yet, but I was wondering who the 2 confirmed defections were.
Yeah. So Brad Cox will run Nash and Ethan Energy, but said Awesome Road will be scratched. Trainer Kent Desormo will scratch next level. Well, Tizzy Indy is only possible. So we'll see what happens here as this kind of plays out as well. I think Nash from the rail is going to be your speed. I think Track Phantom is probably pressing, and we'll see what happens and how this sets up. I think it's interesting that Can Group stays in this race. That one to me is a kind of a question mark here of what you do, because that's a horse that's been a turf horse, not a dirt horse, that is staying in here for Mark Cassidy. I'm going to try the turf or try the dirt here and see what we can do after 2 lackluster maiden special weight starts.
Yeah, that was the one I thought if I went 3 deep that I would use Can Group. And Mark Cassidy did this with War of Will, right? A Son of War front. Did very well on turf, and he put him on the dirt for the Lecomte, and he did so well that he won the Preakness Stakes. So great horse, War of Will there. Did you want it, because Awesome Road scratched, and I know you were initially going to use this horse, do you want to replace with Can Group, or do you just want to stick 2 deep here?
I'm going to stick with my guns.
Okay. Just stick 2 deep. Yeah, Can Group, he looks so good on turf. I understand why they're taking the shot here. I mean, to be 4th in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf behind a stablemate, My Boy Prince, it's a half-length miss there. That's, good effort from him, but it just seems like turf is where he's really supposed to be meant to be. So Mike's going 5-7. I'm going, I'm going 5-7, and Mike is going, you're also going 5-7. That's not right. You are going 5-7. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, with the defection.
The scratches are throwing me off.
12, 36. I am going to add the 4, the dub claim, which I was between the 3 and the 4. I'm going to add the 4 into that race.
Oh, okay.
Because now my cheap chick is a little cheaper. So I'm going to do some quick math here.
Yeah, while you do that, Siga Mendoza mentions Latlong, the 6 horse. Now, if you were to play a McPeak this sequence, I think this is the one. This is the one, because it's not heavily favored with an up and down form. The horse is, it's a typical McPeak horse. Runs a couple of times on dirt, and they say, all right, well, we're going to put you on turf, and ran about the same there. Came back to dirt, got second to Track Phantom when he broke his maiden. Missed him by 5 lengths, but he took a nice step forward last out of Oaklawn Park, going 1 mile and 1/16 on the dirt there. Got the win by 2 1/4 lengths, had a nice stalking trip there. It wouldn't shock me if it would piss me off, but if Latlong took another step forward, he could be in the mix. I just think he's probably an exotics horse at best right now. Maybe down the road, he's going to sneak up and win one of these. Right now, 3rd's probably his ceiling.
Yeah, I think this is an underneath horse in this race, but at some point, this is a live 20-1 shot. The question is when that will be. The problem with McPeak now we're in a 6-horse field that may go to 5. That's not a McPeak race. McPeak wants 12 horses where he can get a 20-1 shot home. And Latlong was beat by Track Phantom a couple races back. Latlong faced Dornock, has faced good company in his young career. Shown some talent. The price is going to be right at some point. I think we're a little bit early here. And I think the issue too is that Nash and Ethan Energy, I think, are legit. I think Track Phantom is as well. This is a salty 5 or 6 horse field, especially when you consider Can Group has shown some talent on the turf, and we're switching over to dirt. So tough spot for Latlong to try and jump up and win.
That's going to do it for this episode of the Magic Mike Show. Thanks for joining us to talk about Fairgrounds' late pick 5 and all stake sequence with a 15% takeout guaranteed pool of $250,000. Go way over that one. But thank you for. What's that?
Over under 765,000 in late pick 5.
I'll go under. I think a lot of people would be too cold and pissed off to be betting Fairgrounds at night. So, by the way, I like to call Fairgrounds where they run at night but never turn on the lights, because
it is ridiculous. Do we really need 13 races? Do we need a pick 5 in the 4th and 5th race also?
No. But it's a Twin Spires run track, so. Yeah, what are you going to do? Anyways, we got our tickets down below. If you're watching, take a look. If you're a podcast listener, we're going to read them out for you. I'm going to start for 50 cents. I'm going to go 3-4-6-9 with 1-6, with 2-5-6-9 with 3-5, with 5-7. That's $64 for me, Mr. Somich.
I'm going to play a $72 ticket total. So for 50 cents, I'm going 129 with 2346 with 169 with 12 with 57. $72 for 50 cents.
Make sure you check out Blinkers Off. The guys are already live earlier today, but they covered all of the big races at Fairgrounds and a couple of main special weights as well. Check out some of the undercard races at Fairgrounds. Those maiden races have got some potential interesting horses there, so make sure you take a look. Also, May Moon from the Racing Dudes Triple Crown Fantasy League is debuting at Santa Anita on Saturday in the opener. Looks like he's got a good chance, but there's a $1 million yearling also trained by Baffert who's in that spot. So it could be a good showdown. Pratt riding the $1 million horse. May Moon has JJ Hernandez. Oh, Pedlo. Yeah, we're just going to leave that comment there. Head over to racenews.com for free picks for every race, every track across the country over on the Best Bets page. I now am officially 10 of my last 11 tip sheets. I pick at least three races a day. 10 of the last 11 have turned a flat profit, so we're going to see what the fortunes bring us for the rest of the weekend. So take a look over there. I'm selling those for just $10. And join the Discord, Shotty says. If you're watching, just click on the link in the chat. That'll work. Mike, you've got a big big weekend in Vegas coming up. What do you think?
We got the divisional round in the NFL. So 4 games, 2 Saturday, 2 Sunday. Going to be a lot of fun. Going to be on the handle from 4 to 7 Pacific on Saturday, and then right in between Lombardi Line and Brent Musburger's countdown to kickoff on Sunday morning. So that'll be 9 to 11 a.m. on Sunday, leading into the games. Should be a lot of fun. Sunday especially. Looking forward to the Bills-Chiefs game quite a bit. I think you're going to see points galore in the San Francisco 49ers Green Bay Packers game. So played the over there, played the under in the Chiefs-Bills already. Got a couple articles up on VSiN there. Going to pick up some props for tomorrow once I get all those come released. So we'll have those up as well. Should be a lot of fun this weekend with the NFL. And then you also have FloCal as well. So if you're a tournament player.
Oh, that's right.
The first of the Grand Slams are this weekend. $1,500 entry, $250,000 max entry or minimum pool guarantee. They will also go way over that, by the way. Thanks, Horse Racing. I ran second in this one last year for $81,000. So hopefully we can improve on last year's.
Excuse me. You said how much? I'm kidding. I heard that. Congratulations to you, and best of luck with that. Check out Mike on the VSiN network on YouTube at VSIN. That's where he's hanging out all weekend long talking football. Until next week when we're back for some more shenanigans, I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
Good luck this week.
The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.